In this video, you will learn the amazing phenomenon about past lives through the book Many Lives, Many Masters, written by Dr. Braian Weiss. Hello, beautiful beings, and welcome to my channel. On this channel, I talk about topics connected to mental health, spirituality, and how you can connect to your own divinity. So if that's something that you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe. Before I jump straight into the topic, I just want to let you know that I am offering coaching services. If that's something that you're interested in, the link is down below in the description. You can find out more details about that. And I also have a book out called Growing Young, Mind, Body, and Soul Cohesion. So if that's something that you're interested in, the link is also down below in the description. Before I jump into the book review, I want to let you know my standpoint on past lives and reincarnation before reading this book. So when I was a child, I always had an inkling that I was here before, that I had visited Earth before in different lives, but I didn't go beyond thinking these thoughts. I didn't explore further. I just had a feeling that I was here before. But I came across these YouTube videos of these children who claimed to remember their past lives. They were able to remember details about their past lives, like the names and like who they were and what they did as an occupation and how they died and all these details. And when like people or the parents had further investigated, they found out that these details were true. So for example, there was a child who kept saying that he was a Navy pilot and he had passed away by being shot by the Japanese. His airplane had been shot and he wasn't able to get out, and that's how he passed. And this child kept having nightmares about these memories, and even when he was awake, he was able to remember these memories. And he would tell his parents and give all these details. He also even knew the name of the person, which his name was James. And even at that age, like when he was a little child, his name was also James. So his past life, he was named James, and in his current life, he was named James. So he was also even able to give the ship of the name of the ship that the plane took off from. And so the father had investigated, and long story short, all the details that were provided, they were able to trace it back to someone who actually was a Navy pilot who had passed away, took off on the same ship that this little child claimed, and all these details were true. So, you know, it's kind of, I was kind of like curious about it, but not too curious. But after reading this book, I was just like, oh wow, I really believe in past lives. If you're interested in the story that I just told you about the Navy pilot, the child who kept saying that he was a Navy pilot in the past, I will link the link down below in the description. So about 2 years ago, I was talking to someone from work about past lives and reincarnation, and that just made me more interested in exploring about past lives. And that's when I came across the book Many Lives, Many Masters, and I was just blown away that we can use our past lives, if we tap into it, as a healing like technique that can help us heal in our current life. And yeah, I was so fascinated by it. So yeah, let's go into the review and like what this book is about. Dr. Weiss was a skeptic, and he didn't believe in past lives before he had met Catherine, the patient who he tried this technique with. So Dr. Weiss was a psychiatrist who studied at Columbia University and Yale. He had come across Catherine in, I believe it was 1980, and at that time, Catherine was not able to take any medication because of fear of choking and gagging, which she learned later through past life regression, that she had passed away from a tidal wave that made her fearful in her current life of choking and gagging. And then after she found that out, she was no longer fearful of choking or gagging. And before Catherine had came to Dr. Weiss, she was struggling with depression, anxiety that led to panic attacks, and nightmares. So she also went to different medical professionals, and it didn't really work for her because, like I said, she was not able to take medication because of choking and gagging. So that wasn't like a form of therapy that could have helped for her because she wasn't going to take medication. And Dr. Weiss had also tried psychotherapy, but that wasn't working for her either. So because nothing else was working, Dr. Weiss had decided to do hypnosis. Catherine was a little bit reluctant at first, but decided to do it. The goal of hypnosis was to get Catherine to tap into her childhood memories that could possibly give answers to the reasons why Catherine had these phobias, these anxieties, and the depression, and, you know, possibly find out the answers through her childhood. During one session, Dr. Weiss instructed Catherine to go back to the origin of why Catherine was feeling this way or why she had these phobias and whatnot. And Catherine ended up going back to a past life. And these memories were just so real for her. And, you know, session after session, Catherine kept going back to past life memories. And over time, this form of therapy was starting to help. This is the first time she was actually starting to feel better, and healing actually started to occur. And although Catherine was healing, Dr. Weiss was still a little bit skeptical. That is until one session, Catherine was able to give information about Dr. Weiss's life that nobody else knew. She said that there was two people there to visit him, his father and his son. She was able to provide details of the death of these two people. She knew that the father had passed away because of heart problems, and that Dr. Weiss's daughter was named after him. She was also able to provide how the son had passed away, and that he had passed away after 21 days of being alive, and he had passed because of a heart complication. It was a rare medical condition. And this is when Dr. Weiss really felt like this was real. He couldn't deny it at this point, because there was no way that Catherine was going to be able to know these details. And Catherine had said that she was getting these messages from the masters. And so, yeah, that's when Dr. Weiss started to become more of a believer of past lives. So Dr. Weiss was skeptical to even put this information out because at the time, you know, it was not common to be using past life as a healing technique. And today it still isn't, even though more people are open to it. But in like, what can we call it? Conventional therapy, not many people use this, right? So he was skeptical to put it out, but obviously he eventually did. That's why we are able to read his amazing books and see his amazing work online. He also wrote a book called Same Soul, Many Bodies. I also read that one too. And in this book, it was not about one person. In his first book, Many Lives, Many Masters, it was just about Catherine's story. And in this other book, it's about, each chapter is about a different person, which is amazing because everybody has a different story. And it was just so fascinating because even through these books, I learned that a lot of these people were saying that in their current life, they had a connection with someone in their past lives. So for example, if people in his second book, or not his second book, the second book that I read, Same Soul, Many Bodies, I learned that if you have a challenge or challenges with certain people in your lives, it could possibly be linked to something that happened in your past life that was not resolved. So that was just so fascinating. And when people would understand the stories of their past lives connected to someone in their current life, they were able to heal that connection. And whether you believe this or not, it's just amazing to know that people can actually heal in their current lives using this technique, right? So I just thought it was so amazing. And even like Catherine and everybody else in the other book, they always spoke about right when they passed in their memory, they went to this white light. They were surrounded by this white light. And people who experience near-death experiences also explain this white light that they are surrounded with. So I thought that was also fascinating as well. And Catherine also was able to tap into these masters, what she called, which was from spirit or whatever you want to call it, divine, universe, these messages that were for the collective. And in that book, you can read all these messages that were given to her. And I don't know, I just thought these books were fascinating, and it just made me like open my eyes. And I am now a believer that I've been here before. Like when I said at the beginning of this video, I said I used to have this inkling when I was younger, but now I am definitely a believer that I've been here many times before, and I'll probably be coming back. And I don't fear death anymore. I don't know. I think like knowing this has made me feel so much better about life, so much happier. And I was also able to tap into certain past lives for myself that helped me in my own healing. So I think it was amazing. Anyways, I really hope that this video was helpful. If you have any stories about past lives, or if you've read this book and you want to share anything that could be helpful for anyone reading, that would be great. Leave your comments in the comment section. I guess until next time, peace and love.